I would say the AI, the compliance piece of it, and then obviously just continuing to grow our organization is essentially what we're focused on, and eventually I'll sleep.
What are some things that you see on the horizon for this space, going into, I guess I'd say 2023, but before we know it, it's going to be over. So really, we're almost looking at 2024 now.
We are, but there's also some things that are still coming down the line for 2023. Yep. And I would say that the REACH people and CCC and PACE, there's a lot of, legislation, there's a lot of chatter in the industry, which I think we've been in a lot of sessions even here talking about the things that are rolling out. And I think the ambiguity and sort of the broad nature of a lot of the legislation and things that are being discussed, it's open to interpretation, but nobody really knows what's going on. But it's, what I'm seeing is a lot more of kind of grassroots effort of trying to get people to actually be we need comments, we need engagement. This is the livelihoods that we make is on the basis of this industry. And it's, I wouldn't say it's under attack, because I don't want to be someone that's sounding the alarm and saying everything's on fire and the house is going to burn down, because this industry will survive until the end of time.
Of course.
Because it's just who we are.
Right.
But at the same time, I see that in being involved, with call centers and being involved and seeing all these different things and different aspects of the industry, because we're involved from everything from legal to call centers to lead gen to emailers to software providers and app developers. And so it affects all of us because it's a giant ecosystem. So one factor that provides billions of dollars in advertising, and marketing spend for a worldwide economy, it affects everything downstream. So I think everyone's kind of holding their breath, trying to see what's happening, but we do have some thought leaders out there that are really giving us good advice. It's just what we're trying to do is say, hey, for the girls, we're doing a compliance rundown in September. We're not saying that it's the end of the world, but hey, these are the states that have new privacy laws. These are the states that have new TCPA laws. This is what the FTC, the FCC, consumer groups are saying that they have their eye on. And you guys, need to be aware, and we're happy to bring that to you, because not everybody has an in-house counsel. Not everybody's reading through 40-page documents and 100-page documents that come out every day, So that's what's kind of nice is, again, the hive mind and the collective allows it to be sort of a digestible initiative, as it were. So that's what we're trying to do, is just really prepare people also for hey, you might want to pivot going into 2024 and just really be aware that, don't do these certain things, or maybe just be able to execute on a platform that you're already starting to integrate with, should you need to. So I think a lot of that's going to flip around November, December, but going to next year, I think there's a large piece of that of just be aware of what's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I don't think as you said, it's just, it is constantly changing. And, we already had data privacy being that every state coming out with new data privacy laws. And, at least we're at a point where it seems like the general consensus is, hey, if you are in good shape under CCPA, CPRA, and now the Colorado law, you've probably put yourself in a good position because they're the most restrictive in the nation.
Yes, but it also makes it a little more complicated when every state has their own law. It's almost easier to have one large legislative piece because it's easier to comply with. And I know there's 6 or 8 new states that are coming out with their own mini TCPAs. I know there's a lot of larger legislative bodies that are coming after. And they do focus on the robocalls and SMS texts, but the words lead generation are on their mind now. So I think a lot of that is we would almost prefer for it to be one bigger body. But I agree with you that if you stick to the California standard, it is so strict that I think you'll be okay, but really you have to be aware of everything that's happening in every state, because one little piece is a violation. We don't want that.
Exactly.
So.
And that's only for now. So tomorrow another state comes out with a law and it's more restrictive, and now you've got a whole different playing field.
Correct.
But I think you're right. It's it's still very much so many data privacy, and even the call center, kind of space reminds me a bit of email back before CAN-SPAM. And every state had its own laws, and sometimes they were contradictory. So it's I'm in, compliance with this, but that's putting me in conflict with another. And we finally got CAN-SPAM, which not everybody was probably excited about at the time, but yet it's created a framework for email marketers to thrive for 20 years.
And everyone in the industry has gone through stirred and shaken. They've gone through TCPA, they went through GDPR, they've gone through CAN-SPAM, and it all is it's an ecosystem. So we're all aware of what's happening because we're running email campaigns and that generate calls. So everything's sort of there. But I would say that with this new stuff, I think it gets a larger body that's sort of really cracking down. And so I think if we can come together and say, these are the things that I'm seeing, these are the things that I'm reading, and actually pull our our information and our ideas together, that we can really come back with something and say, here's how we think we can self-regulate. Like I said, the industry will survive till the end of the world.
A lot of smart people in this space who find a way to operate within the guidelines as given to them.
The most creative entrepreneurs, and I would say just literally just the most creative minds I've ever met in my life. have been in this industry. So if anyone can figure it out, it's this group of human beings. So
yeah. Now we have AI to think about. Because we didn't have anything else going on.
What does that mean for everything?
That's it basically. Yeah. And I know nobody has an answer to that just yet.
But I like the two, I recently did a webinar with DNC.com that was about AI, and we tied in some neurodiversity aspects to it because I think that is a very relevant topic for this industry. But looking at AI, it's like, what does that mean for regulatory? But it's like, there's two sides of the coin. One side is, how does it help improve my workflows? How do I help with scripting and creative? We were just listening to the last session. He's saying I can run reporting and data analytics and modeling through it, right? That's a great piece of it. But what does it mean for if I'm putting my data in this machine?
Right.
What does that mean for privacy? What does that mean for sharing data? Because I've spoken to some other, women who are part of Link Unite. They're in Fortune 100. Like, if I dropped my data in that platform, it'd be the end of my career.
Yeah.
Right. So there's certain facets that we have to take a look at, and I think there's two sides. But I'm like, I think it's going to be the evolution. You're seeing all these new AI technologies at the show. You're seeing people walking around with them. It's just what's going to survive. There's like 11,000 applications. I said they think is out there. It's going to essentially consolidate like anything else. But I would say like a lot of people are apprehensive. I'm more excited about what it's going to evolve in terms of this group, at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think a lot of people still look at AI as what we know of AI today, which is ChatGPT.
Correct.
And it's like, oh, great, I can ask it things and have it write stuff for me. And there's so much more than that.
So much more than that. And just being understand, like, give it a persona, give it a framework.
Right.
You can ask it questions. It can literally be your assistant. And I'm dyslexic. We talked about this on the webinar. The neurodiversity aspect is I use it like a personal assistant. Break this action down into actionable tasks for me throughout the day. Take this article and summarize it for me. Take this text in this PDF and rewrite it with the text font that makes it easier for me to speed read it. It increases the productivity. It increases my creativity. And I think that that's what's kind of cool about it is, everyone's like, oh, it's job replacement. Like, there's always going to have to be a person behind it. It's never going to reach sentient level in the next couple of years, at least. Maybe that's a movie for later on down the road, right? But right now it's like, get on the forefront of it. See how you can use it. See how you can use it in your everyday life, and and then maybe just regulate your children on it a little bit too, at the end of the day, so they don't get kicked out of college or something.
Details.
Exactly.
That's right. But, it's even with that, at some point, it is going to get built into education as well. Right. And it's not to say that the kids don't have to learn and write a term paper, but there's a skill in learning how to use a tool like a ChatGPT to help you write that term paper and make it better.
It's a new skill set. Yeah. We all learned you remember the intro, body, conclusion with the thesis at the front and the end. Right. We all learned that.
You had to do research and you had to cite your sources.
Yes,
and
bibliography.
That's right,
how to do all that stuff. And I would seriously doubt that many kids know what APA or MLA is these days, and that we did that in college. But
that's right.
ChatGPT is a different skill set.
Yeah.
So just like people who are hopping into it, they're like, I can only create basic content. It's like, but you also haven't educated yourself on how to put a persona on it, what a framework means. Yeah. So it's just another piece of education that the younger generation has already tapped into, luckily. But at the same time, I'm like, it's just another tool. Everything is evolution, everything is evolving, and it's just how do you adapt to it and make it a part of your life without it dominating it at the same time.
Yeah, so exactly right. Well, on top of those things, what else do you see going on in the industry? Is there anything else? I mean, is there room for anything else between regulatory changes and AI?
I mean, even in the sessions that we were talking about today, I don't know that they really thought about legislation is always years behind the technology, right?
Far.
I think AI is so far, and it is exponentially growing above the curve of acceptability that it's like they're never going to really be able to keep up. They're still on the robocall, SMS side, right? So I think that it's a lot of this is just keeping your eye on it and seeing how it evolves in the industry. I would say that the regulatory piece of it is going to be a large part of the conversation going into the end of the year and into 2024. And I think that's probably the most important thing people to keep their eye on. But at the same time, figure out a way to use this to make your business. Go create A/B test your campaigns. Go create email campaigns. Get your subject lines. Come up with different stuff with it. Like, why work hard when you can work smart at the end of the day? So I'm not one of those that's the end of the world people at the end of the day. So
no. Again, every new technology, whether is this a horse and buggy against the car kind of situation, maybe a little bit, but now we have the car industry built up, and maybe the manufacturers of the buggy whips had to come up with something else, but hopefully most of them did, or they moved on to some other things.
I think the one common thing that we all have is that we're all nerds at heart, though.
That's right.
A little bit, and so we're all just like, oh my God, it's new technology. How did you do it? How was it built? What did they do? What is the language models? Like, what does this all mean moving forward? And when is the singularity going to happen? Just at extra nerd level, because we've all watched those movies.
Oh, for sure.
But at the same time, I think we're a group of people that get more excited about that kind of stuff because we've seen the positives that have come out of those types of technology. And we're thinking localized to our industry, but I think the larger picture is that this is going to be a big tool that really does foster, differential types of learning and how you can actually engage and incorporate different people to actually, oh, I see you're struggling with this. Let me help increase your productivity, regardless of what industry you're in.
Yep.
So I would say the AI, the compliance piece of it, and then obviously just continuing to grow our organization is essentially what we're focused on. And eventually I'll sleep. But one day, I don't see that on the horizon soon enough. Because again, as it comes to us, we just want to build and grow with everybody. So, including you guys.
Sure. That was really good.